over to you, Michael.
Michael, you need to unmute.
Sorry.
Still on mute, Michael.
All
There you
right. That's better?
Yeah.
Gosh, you would think after as many days as I've been on this, I would have it figured out by now. All right. So I have put together what I call part 2, the CARES Act. Let me give you, I'm going to just give you a quick highlight here of what's here. I'll pass this to Samira right after the call, and she can distribute it to you. It's very similar to part 1, except it is a pretty good comprehensive overview of the CARES Act. So as you go through it, what I've done is in the first 3 or 4 pages, I've tried to organize the information by the type of information you need. So on page 1, you're going to find who's eligible, how the loan process works, how loans can be used, how the loan forgiveness works, taxability, and some other terms around the small business business interruption loans. On the second page, the credit support for other affected businesses other than small businesses is here for those that are larger. So page 1, small business, page 2, larger business. Page 3 is some information from their phase 2 loan forgiveness program that I wanted to provide for you. And then page 4 is some additional relief information that is helpful, I think, to everybody, including some information about phase 2 and phase 3. Then what I did is I took the detail out of the CARES Act and I put bullets on every single category. So there's the paycheck provision section that you're going to find on the next page, how loan forgiveness works, and I've got about 10 bullets there of how that's going to happen. The emergency EIDL grants and how they operate, unemployment insurance provisions, so you can look at those pieces in particular. Rebates and student loans, because some folks may care about what's going on with student loan, the retirement funds and what's going on with those, charitable giving, because there's been some improvement in charitable giving deductions if you're helping other nonprofits or foundations in your area, the business provisions overall within the CARE Act, and there's a couple of pages of those, and then how healthcare funding could work. Following that, I've provided some resource links for you that you can just link to see some summaries of all of these. The 2 at the top are the 2 I recommend if you've been following Style Blueprint. I think they also published what Bassberry had out. It's a really good one that you can use. And then the top CARES Act is really a summary of what's going on in Congress. So the legislation's here at the top, and then the Bass summary isn't following that. And after that is a number of other breakouts that might be helpful to you.
Michael,
so I think
we're not able to see a presentation we just see your website.
Okay, sorry. I was hoping I could share my screen with you. I guess not. Okay.
You were sharing the screen, but it was just a static screen. It may have been the right screen. It's hard to tell.
Well,
Yeah, you might have more than one window open.
Yeah, if you have more than one window open, Michael, when you hit share, it'll put a number on each screen and you can see which screen you're sharing to.
Okay, now it says you're screen sharing.
all right, well, let's go back and let's see if I can do this now. You see it now?
We see something, but maybe not what we're supposed to see.
All right, well, I'm hoping you're seeing
It's
COVID.
nothing bad. It's nothing bad. That's good news.
Yeah.
We
But
just
not-
see that you are sharing your screen. It just has a flat screen with the word.
Okay, sorry.
Hey, Michael.
I can't figure that out. So Bethany, I'm sorry. I will just,
It's okay.
I'll get this to Samira and she can distribute it to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right. Yeah.
I don't want to take a lot of people's time for this.
Participants. Chat. Okay.
Also on that topic, we might need, Samara, we might need to upgrade our platform. We're locked out at 100 and others are trying to get in at some point.
Yes, I paid for the bigger platform. I'm not sure why it's not letting more in. If somebody's a pro, call me really quick and tell me what to do.
Okay, Samira,
Yes.
you can, okay, so go under settings.
Yep.
Hey, Samira, Michael, if you don't mind, if you could unshare your screen, I could share you my screen and how you turn on webinar so you can be able to enable the webinar function to have more than 100.
Okay.
Samira, I don't know if you can see my screen right here, but if you go and edit your account right here, you can select on webinar right here, and it may allow that to save. They used to do it. You have to call Zoom to enable that, but I know it works on mine, but you can just click that webinar button. You should be able to save it, and it should unlock it.
Hey guys, we got it upgraded, so I think we should be good for other people now.
Okay, do we have new folks joining now? Do we have it open?
Yes, I'm seeing new people come on now.
Good. I propose two
There's some
things.
upset people. There's some upset people.
I know. Look, bear with us. This is pandemic times. Michael, you can either go through the high points and then we'll share the file with everyone post, or if you want to send that via email link, one of us can share it while you go through it. Your call. Happy to have either.
Okay, so I have emailed out his presentation and we are accepting more than 100. My apologies. I am learning on the fly.
Hi, Samir. Thank you for doing that. I also sent you the email. If you'll just distribute it, everybody can have what I was trying to share. That way I don't take up all their time today.
Yep, I did.
It's about 18 slides long, folks, and it gives you 3 short pages of summary. It gives you about 9 pages of detailed summary and then a bunch of links at the back if you want to go into other sites and see them all. The first link on the back is the bill or the legislation itself, and the second one I think is the best of the lot, which is how Bass Berry did a summary of the drop downs, and it's really good. So if you take a look at those, I think you'll find the short version, the medium version, and then the extended play on the links on the back if you want to dig into them all, okay? Also, if you have specific questions, like I've had 4 or 5 folks ask me things like, you know, what kind of letter should I put together if I'm putting somebody on a furlough? And I've had sample letters and things like that. If you need anything, give me a shout, drop me an email, and I can send you over some sample documents if things like that would be helpful, okay? Bethany, I'll turn this back over to you and Samira.
Great. Are there any particular pages I should, let's see.
The first 3 give you the highlights. Everything else, the links in the back, give you the full details.
Everybody seeing this?
Yes.
So he's definitely broken this down really great here, the different types.
Bethany, there are 4 pages there with the summaries. Good. And there's 1 more page of some additional. Terrific. Then after that comes some details that are in each section. So these are just bullet points that if you're looking for a specific thing, you can find it in the bullet and it'll tell you which section of the bill to go to take a look at it. And there's about 9 pages of this if you want to just scroll through them so everybody can see those. And
By subject, this is awesome.
it's all by topic, so you can find what's the deal by topic. Saves reading about 200 pages. And then at the very back is the links. Okay?
Good stuff.
Yeah. And hopefully that helps, and let me know if I can help anybody in any other way. Okay?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Michael.
You're welcome.
And this will get out to everyone, and we'll have questions at the very end of this as well as following this. I want to make sure everyone really understands all of the details and gets what they need on this, because I know I'm not reading all. What did it end up being, 600 pages? I'm not doing that. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Marty. He has a few words.
All right, so a little bit of EO business. We've, of course, been on a lot of EO calls with other presidents around the country and around the world. So I'll reiterate, if you are not on the EO Bridges Slack channel. I highly recommend to do that because you will be connected with about 4,000 EO members. And so I'll say that the president's calls have been very, very focused on two big topics, one of which is requalifications. So requalifications for this year and next year, and then also dues. So the most primary response is we're working on it because we're a global organization and we're trying to figure out how to address the global organization, not any one particular area. But requalifications are going to be suspended for a minimum this year and probably potentially next year. So if you're an EO now, you can continue to be an EO for at least the next 2 years without having to qualify from a finance standpoint. The dues are being discussed, and that is a consistent message weekly of they're talking about global dues, they're talking about initiation dues, they're talking about all those pieces, and no decisions have been made. But no, they'll be adjusted in some way. And for locally, at least, we'll be happy to break those into payments for the upcoming renewal. In the meantime, we just officially welcomed 15 new EO members, and they're getting virtually forum trained this week. And they're already jumping in and taking advantage of all the resources available. I know I've been on a number of calls with a few of them already. We're staying the course locally from a transition to a new board. So we'll be doing that next week because really the infrastructure that Samira and Marla and Karen provide our chapter is unmatched in terms of the world of EO. If you haven't been to a global event, or if you haven't been anywhere outside of Nashville, you don't understand how amazing our infrastructure is. And it's all thanks to our team that we have here. So thank you, team, for giving us a foundation that we can build all this on the fly. We turned up Slack, we've turned up Zoom, we've turned up all of these virtual resources with our SAP partners in the past 2 weeks, basically out of nothing. And so, you know, that's truly unmatched from all the calls that I've been on. So that's why we're going to continue forward, transition to the new board, and I'm excited to have the new board members come on. I feel like that our path this year was around sustainability, and what better path to have right now is how do we sustain and how do we continue to grow during this time. So I'll close in saying, you know, let us know what you need, and we will work on it and try to figure out the best way to provide that to you and value to the chapter members and value to you personally, because we're all in this together. That's the main message that we have had from Global, from all the other calls, is we are all in this together. And that's what, it's really tough being in the storm. I personally have been in the storm many times before, and not like this, but I've had to do hard things in the business. I've had to do hard things personally. And so there is another side to it. Our best received chapter event last year was the To Hell and Back. And that was members telling that exact story, that you can get through it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a train. It's just the other end. So with that, I'll throw it back to Samira, and maybe we can quarterback some questions for Michael.
Yeah. Michael, can you see the question from Judith, or would you like me to read it?
I think I can see, and this is about the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
So the way the program was written in law is that the federal and state are cumulative, not so that you should qualify for both. The state of Tennessee max is only $275. If you are at the top end, it can be as low as 30 or 50 bucks, I think, 'cause it's a tiny amount on the bottom end. But virtually all the states are doing federal in combination with the state. So I don't think it's in lieu of, I think it's part of, and that's up to the salary cap of 100,000. But the amounts that are provided in the legislation from the federal are not, they're cumulative with the state. So they're not instead of, okay? Also, I saw a question here. If I'm going to do terms, yes, you have until so many days from the legislation, and that is the end of this week. So you've got to make those calls by April. I know in our firms, we have already furloughed the folks that we are furloughing. So you do have a window of time to make these decisions. It's not forever. So, and I would encourage you, if you're using a PEO or a benefits broker, check in with them as well. But we use furlough so that we kept covering everybody's health care. And then the employee portion, we will work out a way for them to pay us back for that on the back end once they return. But we just, since you can't really withhold for an employee who's not there, we furloughed, kept their health care in track so that they could qualify for the unemployment process. Okay.
You see Judith's third question?
Oh, I don't know. There's a bunch of them here.
She says, if I have a draw, can my draw be put into the payroll calculations to increase the amount I can get for a loan?
I don't think so.
Okay. Then Greg says, for the 100,000 salary cap for payroll loans, is it a cap or are those employees totally excluded?
I think it's up to 100. It's not excluded. But once 100, over 100, you're excluded, just like you're excluded from the money from the Fed. Okay.
Okay. Then Robbie says, any ideas how it might work for owners who do draws that are not always consistent?
You would either use the averaging. They provided an averaging mechanism you can use, or last year's taxes. Because again, most of the data that's going to be used for any kind of loan or loan forgiveness is the past 12 months. So if you have data from last year of how you paid yourself, you can use that, or you can use averaging of what your draw has been for the last 6 months or so.
Okay, then Arnie says, any inclusion on independent contractor team members in the Payroll Protection Act or just payroll?
Just payroll.
Okay, Chris says, can guaranteed payments be considered for eligibility and or forgiveness?
Can we explain what that means a bit? I'm not quite sure.
Chris, who are you? I'm not sure which Chris that is. Maybe they'll respond.
Okay, I'll do some research on guaranteed payments, and if I see something else there, I'll send it out to you, Samir, so we can broadcast it. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, and Michael, this is David Hornsby. I had that same question. Guaranteed pay for a LLC, partners who are technically self-employed, what if they pay themselves a salary in addition to distributions? The salary they pay themselves is technically called a guaranteed payment.
Yeah, if you're paying yourself a salary, it counts. Sorry, I didn't quite follow that on the LLC. You still have the limitations on the amounts like everybody else does, but if a salary that you're paying yourself through an LLC qualifies.
Okay. Then Greg says, regarding calculating rent, we own our building in a separate company and pay rent equal to our mortgage. It's not tied to our fair market value. I'm assuming we have to use the lower amount we pay now.
That is correct.
Okay.
And you're going to use historical for any kind of payment calculations. You either use last year's information or you're using for the last several months what you've actually been paying. And there's quite a bit of data in there about that because it's meant to avoid fraud and misuse of these funds. So if you have a pattern of what you have paid, that's what you get to count. If you've not historically shown that pattern, then you don't get to count it.
Okay. Let's see. Elizabeth Moss says, if we're an EE and make over 100,000, can the up to be considered for the loan?
let me work on that a little bit. I think so, but let me get a little digging on that and I'll find out for you. Okay.
Tell me when you're tired of answering these questions.
Two more.
Okay, Bridget Edwards, I believe, says the summaries I've read state that we must certify that the loan is necessary for ongoing operations. We are closed but still have all of the normal expenses. Will this count as ongoing operations?
Yes, every expense you have, rent, debt obligations, utility, whatever you got that you got to keep the business going counts. The entire purpose of this act was so that business don't completely shutter and shut down. So even if you have furloughed employees and you don't have those expenses, you may still be carrying health expenses, rent, other debt obligations that keep the company together and going, and all of those things do count. Okay.
Okay. John, I suppose Rowley says, is worker compensation available for employees with cut hours?
If they are a part-time employee or a full-time working limited and they get hurt on the job, their worker comp would apply just as it would in any other way. If they are furloughed, you need to say in your furlough letter that you're not to work for the company, even if we're not paying you, because you really aren't technically allowing them to work. So make it really clear if you're furloughing an employee completely that they are not supposed to do work for the company. But if you simply cut people's hours and they get hurt on the job, they are eligible for worker comp as though they were working for you in any other capacity. Okay.
Okay. Adam Cap says, do commissions to employees get forgiven?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let's see.
One more.
Okay, let's see. Let's make it a good one.
And again, Samira, if you collect these questions, we will get the answers out to everyone. I'm not trying to cut anybody off. I'm just trying to be mindful of everybody's time. So honestly, all of you, if you submit the questions in, we can get a Q&A or FAQ out to everybody just to save everybody a little time so you don't have to listen to a question that may not join you. Okay.
Why don't we just end with just a kind of a quick explanation? I know we got a question or two about just the logistics of getting this. Can you give them a feeling for what they need to do there?
Well, the first thing I would do is if you have not applied for any sort of the disaster loan information on the SBA site, that's job number one. The site's really slow during the day, but it loosens up at night. I would definitely get on there and get myself registered at the SBA, because our governor has, shuttered a lot of businesses. And so you do qualify, but you need to get your name and the record in. So that's step number one, is get that done. Step number two is talk to, if you are offering any kind of benefits or you have a PEO helping you do your payroll, have a conversation with them. Step three is if you have an attorney who's helped you in any way, having a conversation with them as well as your PEO. You get to lay out a strategy that works to give you the most favorable options and treatments, because there are some options you have here is whether you furlough people, you keep them on, and so on. And different companies are making different choices. It'd be really hard to sit here in front of a couple hundred people and tell you exactly what all of you should do. But I would have those two conversations. And then Samira, if we'll just get the FAQs together, the questions together, we'll try to get out some general answers to everybody on these questions, okay? Because I'm sure if you have the question, 20 other people do too.
Michael, you are so generous to give us your time and all the time you put into this and all your help with our Catalyst members. And I know I speak on behalf of everyone. We're just extremely grateful. And we all kind of feel like we're in good hands when you are, contributing, and just really appreciate that.
Well, I care very much about what we're doing at EO, and I just simply wanted to help, and this is a small way I could help. So glad to do it. Get your questions in, and we'll get them all. We'll get to them all for you. Okay, everybody?
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
And I do just want to add, we've got many calls to come to, help y'all sort through this. We've got calls happening this week, ones that we can't even post stuff fast enough. So just keep going to that eonashville.com/united site. And the first section is the events that we are putting together, whether it's through our SAPs or other experts. And then I mean, y'all Global really is stepping up, and they've got some amazing resources for you as well. And Bethany may want to speak to that. But just keep connecting, whether it's through your forum or through these Slack channels. Global has a great SANE page with lots of opportunities. I mean, there is no shortage of information. And I think that's part of the issue. We wanted to create that site to try to organize it and keep it, you know, as clear as we possibly could. But y'all talk to each other, whether it's on the Facebook page or, you know, Google groups or whatever. I mean, this is where EO shines. So it's all because of you all and our collective, you know, working together. Bethany, did you want to say anything else about the global opportunities?
Yeah, I definitely want folks to try to get on those Slack channels. You know, again, if you have any tech problems in accessing that, let us know. We can help you. I mean, there's so many good members sharing experiences on that Bridge one with tons of members. And if you're missing maybe all the emails that go out on our Nashville Slack, we're definitely collecting them there, so you can see all the updated virtual learning opportunities, which we're adding to it every day, and hearing new ones that Global and MyAO around the world are adding. There's just really so much right now. It's almost information overload, but just make sure you're plugging in. Thank you so much, Samira. That's so helpful. A little shout out to Eric Jackson for getting that United page set. That's awesome. And thank you very, very much, Michael. We really appreciate that. And I know the FAQs are going to be super helpful in wading through all the specifics. So thank you for your expertise and your commitment. Appreciate it.
Happy to help. You all have a great afternoon. And Samira, once we collect the questions, we'll get started on trying to get answers for everybody. Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Bye.